Oh, kia ora, my name's Kingsley Baird and I'm a memory artist and I work at Massey University where I teach and do research, and I've been invited down here by the Trust to participate in this wānanga, and it's been a fantastic experience. It's opened me up to a whole lot of things that I didn't imagine, and it's just been wonderful working with such a diverse group of people and some experts too in their fields. As a kid, I remember reading about Moriori and hearing that Moriori were an extinct people essentially, and then like many people in the late 80s, early 90s, I read Michael King's book Moriori, A People Rediscovered, and that inspired me for some reason to make a piece which was a sculpture that was as much about a memorial to the end of a myth as a memorial to a people who had been rediscovered. And through that process and exhibiting that work, I came into contact with Maui Solomon, and over the years we just developed our relationship. That work now is down at the Otago University in the Peace Studies department, and it's very slowly on its way over to Rēkohu, so it'll be really nice to have it home here, I guess. But this is my second visit to the Chathams. I came in 2009 and as a guest of the Trust again, and it was a kind of a discovery wānanga. There wasn't a set purpose like for this particular one, where it's about reigniting the Moriori arts, particularly of tree carving or tree marking. We're not sure what the answer to that is. It's going to take a few years, I think, isn't it? I've seen a great deal of activity in all sorts of areas, from the kitchen with some wonderful food through to people grinding away at stone or quietly chipping away at stone, people working to finish some beautiful stone pieces that they've made. There's also been, we've been fortunate enough to have some experts on the island who are involved with conservation, for example, Namala from Te Papa, but also archaeological experts as well, who have been able to background us about the trees in particular, and that's really helped as a visual artist to get an understanding of the material that we're dealing with. And it's been fantastic to experience this growing enthusiasm that the group has had for this project. And yesterday we had a delightful experience of going out to a forest and watching Moriori trying some carving techniques, trying to work out what their karapuna or their ancestors did with the trees. It was still a kind of an abstract concept when I made that sculpture back in 1991, and it was me in a way responding to a text, that is Michael King's book. And it wasn't until I really had the opportunity to meet Maui and the considerable enthusiasm and drive and determination that that man has to reinvigorate his people's culture. And coming down here, of course, there's no question that Moriori are not only alive, but alive and well. And it's so much of a privilege to be involved in their rejuvenation, their reigniting of their culture. You can really feel there's a very powerful force that's driving people, that connects them back to their ancestors, and their ancestors always seem to be on their shoulders driving them forward. Also, there have been some fantastic young people who've been involved in this wānanga as well, and it must be really gratifying for the older people to see that they've got this young generation coming through who share their enthusiasm for the identity of what it means to be Moriori. These kinds of events are really important for reinstilling that sense of enthusiasm, and I think to a certain extent people will have dual lives. You know, many of them will continue to live in New Zealand, but they'll always have this connection back here. But I think that having wānanga that look at different aspects of the culture and how the culture can be redeveloped and reignited, I think that's a very important part of it, as well as bringing in expertise. And we've seen that there's some real experts amongst this group here who are incredibly enthusiastic about helping Moriori, working alongside Moriori for the good of their culture. I'd love to keep coming back here from time to time. I think it's an extraordinary landscape actually, and the landscape has quite a lot of mauri or spirit to it that you can really feel, in particular when you go inside those kopi groves. There's something about the protective nature of it, and I could almost imagine people living inside there and living from the trees and using the trees as a resource and going over the dunes and going fishing and so on. Whether I come back or not, or have the opportunity to come back, I'd say it will always be part of my heart, and it's been just a fantastic privilege to be in some way involved and maybe to have made a tiny contribution as well.